Hey folks, so today we'll talk about the temporal graphs, event graphs, and causality. And I have a lot of articles about it, and it's not so straightforward actually, but it's extremely critical to have the temporal awareness in a agent memory, because without the notion of the time, um, we have a lot of problems with recall, and we have a lot of problems with focus and all of the things. And we have seen a lot of times in this picture that our past actually is the straight line of chain of the events, but our future is more like the tree of the endless opportunities and all the thing. And a lot of coaches and psychologists use this model that you have the combination of the chain and the combination of the tree that just show you the future and the probability. And I would say that in a causality space, especially the events of the causality of the events and all thing, our key data structure is the direct acyclic graph. Right, so it's not just tree; it's more the direct acyclic graph, and we could also have the causality, but either when we talk about the future, we don't only have the potential causality, but I would say that causality is possible on the past, but it's hard to put some causality link on the future. So we could just um, um, predict. And it's open yet another thing that in a event graph, we have some temporal relations for sure, like before, after, during, and all thing. But it's the separate topic of the discussion that maybe it's not enough. The interval algebra doesn't really work well, but interval algebra gives some basics, right? So, but it's a separate topic of the video if it's really useful on practice. Another domain is the causality links, and causality links, yeah, it's quite interesting. So they could predict the impact of the events on each other. And for example, some event was never happened because of another event, and vice versa. It happens because of this event and all other things. And it's really critical for the agent, and it's really critical for our better self-understanding to see the causal links in events. And this causal inference is quite interesting domain, and understanding of causality it's more important actually for the events than the temporal relations. And the temporal relations is not the causal relations. We should not mix them together. But yet another quite important thing is the probability and potential relations. So when we're talking about the future, maybe we could have the weak causality relations, but we could have the potential relations, and we could have some events that planned, but we have no guarantee that they will happen, or maybe something else happens, and we supersede the events. And superseding is yet another interesting relation in a event graphs, because we could think that instead of this event happened something else, and it's almost causality, right? So but it's slightly different thing. And then we in some point realized that when we have this complex potential relations, probabilities, weighted ages and all thing, our past on practice looks not like the straight line, or looks not like a chain. So this picture that people draw so many times is not really true, because we have this future that designed like a duck with all this potential superseding and probability links. And in some point, we have the fixed path in this DAG that really happens, but we have a lot of events that create the canva of the things. And sometimes when we analyze in the past, we need to analyze the potential passes of the past that they not happened, because these potential passes also could have a lot of useful information and useful patterns. So I would say that the structure of the events are one huge duck still. But in the past, we have the past of happened events with some interesting relations of the superseding and causality and all of the thing. And in the future, we have something similar, but we have more focus on the probability and more probability links that connect the events that maybe could happen and maybe influence on something. So just to summarize, that our past is still more like the tree and more like a duck, and we need to sometimes get back to the past, but analyze the version of the past that maybe haven't happened. And yet another critical thing, that in the future we have more probability like links that maybe in the future will be the causality links. And yeah, so the probability and weighted links are quite important for the future, and understanding of the previous version of the past, yet another big source of interesting information that we shouldn't overlook. That's it that I was keen to share with you today, and see you next time. Choose.